Hi everybody, my name is Tony Deloney. I am the author of Owning the Dash, applying the mindset of a fitness master to the art of family financial planning. With me is my daughter Abbie.
Hi.
And soon to be joining us will be my son Jason. Just to start off, it's been about a month since we officially launched Owning the Dash, and I just want to begin by saying thank you. All the positive comments, all the positive feedback and support have just been both humbling and just inspiring. So what we thought we'd do today, to have a little fun, is to celebrate the birth of Owning the Dash. We thought it'd be a good idea to make a birthday cake. But this isn't going to be just any birthday cake. The whole premise behind Owning the Dash is bringing the worlds of fitness and finance together into one. So what we thought we'd do today is we're going to make a tax bracket layer cake.
That's a lot.
And the whole reason I wanted to start off with this idea is because when it comes to understanding taxes, in my years serving families as an advisor, it's probably been one of the most confusing things out there, especially understanding how the tax brackets work. One misconception that often exists out there is I see families say, I don't want that raise or I don't want that bonus because it's going to send me into the next tax bracket and all my income's going to be taxed at that higher bracket. That's not the case. The way taxes really work from a federal level is a portion of your income gets taxed at a certain amount, and then the next portion gets taxed at a different amount all the way up. So we're going to use a food analogy today to kind of explain how these different tax brackets work. And in the book, in Owning the Dash, I actually compare taxes to calories. And the whole idea behind that is that calories are something your body needs. We need calories to survive. But if we have too many calories, it turns into waste, stored waste or other. The same is true of taxes. Taxes are something we need to have a society survive. But we don't want to pay any more in taxes than we absolutely have to. So the question we need to figure out to start off is, where am I being taxed? And should I pay the taxes now or should I pay the taxes later? So let's start off. One of the most exciting pieces about the federal tax brackets is that a portion of your income, of your taxable income, doesn't get taxed at all. If you take, and we're going to right now talk about an example with a married couple filing jointly. With a married couple, the first $24,000 of your taxable income, $24,400 is not going to get taxed at all by the federal government. You may have to still deal with state taxes or FICA taxes, but from a federal standpoint, nothing. So every penny you make in that level, that is ideal. That's what you want. Obviously, no taxes. Take as much of it as you can get. So, Abbie, what do we have in this bucket here?
Vegetables.
Vegetables. So we kind of think about our food pyramid. What's at the bottom of the pyramid? Lots of vegetables. Minimal calories inside here. You can have tons and tons of this, but you're not going to pay a whole lot, or you're not going to experience a whole lot of calories. So we want to have as much income being taxed at that 0% bracket as possible. So let's dump all that in there. Beautiful. So just keep that in mind. The first $24,400 as a family that you make, not going to have any taxes whatsoever. So really try to take advantage of that. Now once you get above that level, once you get past that first layer, if your income exceeds the $24,400, then the next $19,400 is only going to get taxed at a 10% federal rate. So Abs, what do we have in the second bucket here?
Fruit.
Fruit. That's right. So just like that food pyramid, at the bottom of the pyramid, you've got vegetables, but you've also got fruit. Now, fruit might be a slightly higher caloric intake, but it's still very healthy, very good for the body. Just like having income being only taxed at a 10% rate, that's a very low rate, very efficient environment. So we've got some apples in here, some strawberries, a very green banana. You want to dump it? Oh boy, we got strawberries going everywhere. All right, lovely. So we've got a musical interlude here. This is great. So yeah, the idea is that 0% and 10%, they are wonderful tax brackets to experience. So if you have income being taxed at these levels, take advantage of it. Meaning, don't try to avoid these lower brackets because you may never see lower brackets than these. Certainly nothing lower than 0. Now, after you get past that next 19,400, the next bracket you're going to experience is the 12% bracket. So not a drastic jump. Now, before the new tax laws went into effect, this used to be a 15% bracket. It's jumped down by 3, or I should say dropped down by 3. So 12% is still very, very efficient. So Abs, what do we have in our next bowl here?
Oats.
Oats, grains, stuff that's still healthy, but still a bit more concentrated in terms of those calories. So still want to have it, so it's got lots of nutrients, lots of good stuff for you, but we don't want to overload on those grains, especially the processed ones. So let's dump this in.
Dun, 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 dun.
I never knew superheroes were involved in this process, but all right, go team. So very nice, very nice. So we've been through our first 3 brackets. 0%, the 10%, and the 12%. And Abby, you did an incredible job helping me out with that. So now I'm going to ask my son Jason to come over and talk about the next phase.
And I'm gonna leave. Bye, guys.
Bye, Abs. Thank you. So before we start off, the 0, 10, and 12, those are the efficient brackets. Those are the ones that if you're being taxed at those levels, you're probably in the lower brackets you're going to see potentially in your lifetimes. We don't know what the tax brackets are going to look like in the future, but the likelihood of them being less than 0, less than 10, or less than 12, probably not very high. Now the exciting news, if we add in this 59,550 plus the 19,400 plus the 24,400 at the 0%, all that income together basically says that you can make up to, as a family, $103,350 and only be taxed at 0, 10, or 12%. Now, if your income if you're fortunate enough to have your income go above that $103,350, any income above that level, taxable income, is going to jump up to the next bracket, which jumps all the way up to 22%. So we're going from 12 all the way up to 22. So now what we're talking about are foods that have a whole lot more caloric saturation inside of them. So Jason, what do we have in this next little bucket here?
Cheese, and yogurt.
Cheese and yogurt. So still, they have some healthy components to them, but we don't want to be eating tons of cheese and high-fat yogurts and things like that all day long, because they're certainly going to be loading up with a bit more in terms of calories. So why don't we put our cheese in there? We got some yogurt. Ooh, we'll leave that yogurt as it is for the moment. You want to dump it in? All right, let's just dump it all. Beautiful. This cake's getting kind of tall. All right, very nice. So, something to keep in mind. First 3 brackets, 0, 10, 12. Now all of a sudden we're jumping all the way up to 22%. I kind of view that as the break point. So if you're now in this category where you have a portion of your income being taxed at 22%, now maybe it makes sense to look into vehicles or ways that maybe we can bring the taxes down. There are all sorts of different types of tax savings vehicles out there. Some have money grow tax-free, others have money grow tax-deferred. I explain how they work inside the book. But now we're in an environment where all of a sudden we've jumped up a whole 10 percentage points higher, 12 to 22. So something to kind of keep in mind when it comes to your tax brackets. Now, the next 89,450 gets taxed to that 22%. Now, if your income exceeds that, so if your total taxable income is above 192,800, we then go to the next level, which isn't too drastic of a jump, but still pretty big. We're now up to 24% federal bracket. So Jason, what do we have in this bucket here? Meats. All sorts of good stuff, right? So we've got some hamburgers in here.
We got some fried stuff.
Oh, fried? Well, I don't know nothing fried. You know, I guess we've got some bacon. Lots of grease inside that bacon. This is what we call an impulse purchase right here. Delicious. Apparently he's gonna go for one too. Eggs. So definitely great to have that protein. Great to have, you know, a certain amount of fat in your diet, but if this is all we eat all day, chances are we're going to run into some health problems. The same thing with taxes. Too big of a bite. All right. So income above this level, or at this level, is being taxed at 24%. So something to keep in mind. If you're being taxed at that level and you incorporate FICA taxes and state taxes, all of a sudden you can find that the tax man is taking a big bite out of your total income. So if there are ways that you could avoid or lower your current taxable income to avoid this upper bracket, might be something to consider. And finally, if your income falls above this level, so now if we're above 345,850, if you're in that good position, congratulations. It's a great position to be in, but now any income you have that is above that level is going to get taxed at 32%. So, Jason, what do we have in this bucket here?
Butter, cookies, jelly beans, and
The sweets, right?
also chocolate.
So basically we got some cookies and chocolate, like Jason said, and really all we're doing is just packing butter and sugar into our bodies. And, I mean, it's wonderful to have. Nobody would complain about having an income of over $300,000. But if you're not careful and you're not concentrating on the tax efficiency, you saw that big jump. We went all the way from 24% up to 32% being taxed on that higher level of income. So I hope that this made some sense today. Did it make some sense to you, Jason? Mm-hmm. Abbie, are you pretty good? You want to come back up?
Yeah.
The idea is you've got different layers of income being taxed at different amounts. There are the lower layers where if your total income is only being taxed at 0, 10, or 12%, that's pretty good. That's efficient. Maybe there are vehicles you want to look into saving where you lock in those taxes now and maybe have the money go tax-free from that point forward. But if you're in those upper brackets, if you're in the 22%, the 24, 32, and we haven't even gone to the highest, we still have a 35% and 37%. But as you can see, our cake is already getting kind of immense. If your income goes in those higher brackets, you really want to focus on what vehicles could I be taking advantage of, or we be taking advantage of, to limit the tax impact now. Reduce it now so that I might be maybe in my retirement years in a lower tax environment. So I hope you found this very helpful. If you'd like ideas on how all this works, how the tax brackets work, and different ways you can maximize tax efficiency or different vehicles, owning the dash is your key. Thanks, Jason. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we hope you have a great day.
I also hope you enjoyed my musical interlude.
Bye. Want to say bye?
Bye.
Bye, guys.